Woo!
Everybody, welcome to the stream. Very exciting. Today, we have Mixed Giant, Noah. We have the artist, Highschool Jacob, Jacob Masters. We have great producer, Stephanie Darcy, also AKA me. I'm Matt Cerritos, and we are joined by one of our favorite people in the world, one of my favorite people, Jesse Ray. Yay!
Yay! Yeah, do I look into that camera?
Yeah, that camera there. Or no, there's this one here too. So
get that one,
when you're talking to us, you can just look up here. So
Cool. How's everybody feeling?
feeling good, yeah.
Great.
The vibe is right here, ladies and gentlemen, across the cyberspace and into your little devices. Everybody watching, you're looking down at your phone. Readjust. Let's get that phone out in front, get the posture, get it good, get feeling right. Strap in. We're going to take you for a ride. Song from Highschool Jacob. One of my original friends I made upon moving to Los Angeles. And what was it? 2018?
Probably 2018,
2018, 19, somewhere in there.
Sneaky long time now, which is a little dark, but
Pre-pandemic, as many would measure that.
Yeah.
it was
There's
right
like
when
a two-year gap of
it was right when The Mandalorian came out. That was it. That was
Yes,
when we met.
you gifted me at our second mix session. You gifted me with a piece of Bhaskar steel.
Yes, it was your birthday, right?
That's where that came from.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, you know what, Jesse's gonna be a big deal, but no one's, they might get him like a bottle of wine or something. No one's gonna get him a Bhaskar steel from like a props maker, and I think it worked because
Wait, that was a real one?
No, yeah, I didn't know. I won it. I went all the way out there. That was nice.
Very nice.
And Mr. Matt, also a friend. I think we became friends even way further back.
Well, before Jacob, you had come when I was working at Sphere Studios. You came with Alex Owana, if I'm saying his last name correctly, and it was like the very beginning of the company he has now. It was literally, we were filming stuff for the investors, and we just hung out, pulling out microphones, hanging out for like 3 hours, just like taking B-roll.
Yeah.
And then from there on, I don't know, I've been stuck with you ever since,
Totally. It's so funny to look back. Have you seen that video that we
I
made
haven't.
there?
It's been so long. I haven't had.
It's been so long that like the fashion trends are just like almost cringeworthy. I'm there in like a leather jacket and blue jeans.
You're so much more relaxed now.
What shoes?
California got the best of me. Now we're.
I guess
What
that's
is-
important. Yeah.
I think I had like some like hiking style, like just mountain men.
You're literally in shorts and Birkenstocks.
And Birkenstocks.
Yeah,
You've made it.
these are the dupes though. These were $10. Yeah, on offer up.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
There you go.
Serious, man.
That's the
be-
move. Is the offer up?
Yeah, exactly.
Um.
But yeah, actually, Jesse's the reason why we're here right now. My friend Matan, who can't be here, he was like, "You need to hit up Bad Habit. They rep the coolest people. Hit them up." And I was like, "Okay." I hit them up, and I heard from their intern, Omari, who was great, and she's doing cool things now. And then Jesse was the only other person who responded. He was like, "Hey man, your music's really cool." And I went over to your place, only then realizing like how big of a deal you are and we're going to be and how talented you were. And then after working with you, I'm like, I want to record more stuff. And you were like, well, you got to meet my friend Matt, who works at Sphere. And then from that, we came to Just for the Record with Moritz and Steph and everybody. And now we're here. So it's crazy how like just you responding to that one email has led to like all this stuff. Yeah.
The power of a click, ladies and gentlemen.
and an email response.
Yeah, well,
A very rare thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then Noah, you work more with Jesse now, but you were under him before.
Yeah, about a little over 2 years ago. Actually, the initial meeting was an artist on Bad Habit, my friend Tiffany Day, who Jesse used to mix for until I stole that gig.
Man.
I was basically on set producing a music video for her because I studied film in college, and then I became her guitarist shortly after. And once I kind of pivoted more into mixing, like 3 years ago, she was like, "You need to DM my mixer. He doesn't have a desk." And I was like, "What the hell does that mean?" He doesn't have a desk. And I think I just, hit him up like, "Hey, would love to jam on guitar and, pick your brain." And then 6 months later or something like that, I got Pro Tools and Jesse was like, thank God. And then became his assistant like pretty shortly after that. Jesse kindly hopped on like Zoom and like went through Pro Tools preferences with me and kind of just was like, yeah, change this, change that. And then I made a joke about being his assistant, and then he was like, well, we might need that really soon.
Whoa,
and then like
that's
3 days later we started. So it's been a crazy ride the last couple of years together, but it's really cool now, just like the co-mixing and kind of leaning on each other, like, you know, putting it down at a certain point and just letting the other person like take over and go back and forth. I feel like it kind of alleviates some of the pressure, you know, of working.
It's fun to make creative decisions and like you feel like you're one-upping, but in like a constructive way, you know. You're just like, oh, you did that, but it made me think of this, so let me try and do this, you know. And it's like, instead of like a situation where you're trying to step on people's toes, you're just like, no, like we're doing this together, we're having fun, like let's make it happen, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to crush him constantly. So I think makes obviously both of us better, that we're just constantly like, yo, check this out, check this tool out, check this out. And you know,
So you weren't even really mixing at the time.
When I first reached out to him, I had just started mixing.
Wow,
Like,
that's so cool.
yeah, so like 3 years ago, I was playing guitar already and was,
Yeah.
you know, working on production, but it wasn't until, I don't know. And then in that 6 months leading up to when we started, I would say, I mean, that was in quarantine, and I'd say like every single moment of every day I was like listening to podcasts and
Just
watching videos mixed with the masters, kind of
Absorbing.
funneling everything I could into my brain, because I didn't go to school for it. So
Right. Yeah.
and then Jesse, I would just be like, do you like Melodyne or Auto-Tune? Or, you know, would ask him like, you know, little questions all the time. And then he really dropped me in the deep end and would just, you know, anytime something came in he didn't want to do, he'd just be like, you do it. And so, you know, I think it
Get those
kinda
reps in.
forced me to learn.
And that's how we
quicker.
met.
Yeah, exactly. So
Can I ask
Not that I
a
didn't
random-
want to do that.
Just a random question.
Okay. Just because I think it's really interesting that you came from a film background, and it's okay if there's no crossover, but do you feel like that experience has influenced how you learned mixing, how you mix now?
I think so. I actually spoke with someone. My manager had me do this like little interview for like a bio to send out to A&Rs and whatever, and this woman I spoke with wrote like his narrative, you know, he studied filmmaking before mixing, and his narrative sensibility informs the way he mixes.
Hell yeah.
And I had never even really like explicitly thought about that, but I do think that, you know, looking at, you know, films and having 3 acts and having structure and trying to control the tension of a film, I think it does translate into mixing. You know, by the third chorus, you want it to hit
Well
a somewhere
said.
or whatever. So I don't think I ever knew that was going to be what happened or how that knowledge was going to translate, but I do think it has. And because I didn't study mixing, I don't really reach for like a compressor just to do that. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Right.
like I'd say more intentional, and obviously have learned a lot from this guy. And you know, he doesn't really approach
and-
things that way.
He
either.
doesn't have a
Jesse
desk.
shares so much
Yeah, he
knowledge.
doesn't have a desk.
You're such a knowledge sharer. I mean, and anytime I've had a question for you, you're there, you know. And I've seen you do, even on YouTube, like some of your NAMM stuff, and it's just like you're there, you're having fun. You're like, I know things, and I don't know everything, but I'll show you what I do know, and I'm not going to hide anything. And I think that's been the key to how you're building relationships and the mixes that you're getting, and the reason you're even here right now. You know, it's like
Yeah,
it's good vibes all around. You know, so
we can all grow.
that's
And-
true.
Yeah.
And also, just to bring Steph into the equation, just wanted to talk about how Steph. So you know Matt through working at
Sphere.
At Sphere.
Yeah,
Sphere. It's just she
originally.
was at Sphere first, and then
Cool.
when we came over here, you know, Moritz was looking for some more people when we were getting started, and so we brought her on, and she's ever since she's gotten here, I mean, you've definitely blossomed a lot too, production wise.
She's blossomed.
and,
Yes.
And I every once in a while I'll just like go, and she's just like in one of the rooms, just like cranking away and just like digging deep into a plugin and then sometimes she finds stuff in a plugin that like I never even would think to do because she's just like trying everything that she can to on her own productions to continue to make them grow and then we got them in a room together and so
Well, I was going to say, speaking of finding stuff that wasn't even there, so I've been working on this track, and I really hated the melodies that I came up with. I just didn't like it, and I asked Matt, I was like, can you know, I want somebody else to come in here and just make it sound a little bit better, just something else. And then Steph came in. I think we had been working on it at the end of the day. First thing Steph says is I play it back. She's like, can we like slow it down a little bit? And in my head, I'm like, I'm not gonna slow it down. Like, no. And then I did just because I wanted to see where you were going with it. And then immediately you started doing these little patterns, like these little harmony patterns, and just kept laying one over the other. And then you were like, can we actually get rid of like this main sample that I'd even like built the entire song around, and just to like keep it going? I was like, yeah, sure. In my head, I'm like, this is a bad idea, whatever. But we kept going, and then eventually we stop and then play it back, and then I go home and I listen to it. And I'm like, oh, the song's just like infinitely better now. And
yeah.
Sweet.
and it was just from you just being like, no, get rid of that, slow it down. Like it was very like old school producer just coming in, and then obviously we did a bunch of melodies.
Yeah.
And then we just sort of Frankenstein shit together, and you looked at me, you were like, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. And then the whole song came together like that. It was so cool because it went from just like kind of a, you know, chill beat to like, oh, this is a song now, and it actually has like a beginning, middle, and end, as opposed to like just like the same thing over and over and over again.
I feel like sometimes when there's like too consistent of a theme in a beat, it makes like songwriting so limited where it's like
Totally.
you can only dance around this one moment. So it's like if you can just like
We got rid of
abstract
it.
it, then you can be like, okay, let's actually push it this way or whatever. So I'm glad that worked.
Yeah. So kudos to Steph for that. I wanted to make sure we said that
Thanks.
before we dove in.
Dope.
Woo!
Yay.
yay. But so yeah, I mean where the session's at is kind of where Jacob and I left it at, and yeah, you're just gonna kind of start from that session, I believe, right?
Yeah, I aside from just opening this up and doing a new save as, this is how you guys left it. And yeah, I'm here mixing on a desk.
And
So we'll
You're outside of your comfort zone. There's a
yeah,
desk.
no, it'll be great. This is a really beautiful studio, by the way. Yeah, thanks for putting this together.
yeah, man,
This is gonna be really cool.
This is gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited for it. Yeah, any questions you have for me about the room?
No,
Yeah,
no,
right.
this is incredible. I spent some time listening to some ref mixes in here. It's awesome.
What'd you listen to? Tell the people what are your ref mixes?
Let's look. Let's look. Or we have like a screen recording?
It is,
Like, they
yeah.
can see all that?
They can see what garbage you're listening. I'm kidding. What good
It's
stuff
a
you're
lot
listening.
of garbage. This is not a mix of just great mixes. This is not a playlist of like perfect mix. This is a playlist of songs I've collected that I just understand. Like, you know, this Rascal Flatts Rewind is just kind of this mid-rangey. I just know where the mids should be sitting. You know, around 1K, one headlight. You know, I know that if the kick is feeling good and punchy, then there's too much low end in the system. It's a really light mix in the low end, etc. Nice to meet you. Shout out Castelli. That's a great mix. You know, and then a bunch of metal and really obscure country and stuff that just makes sense to me. Beautiful, beautiful sounding room. I right off the bat got in and got acclimated in this session. I color coded everything. The way that I arrange sessions is bass all the way to the left in yellow, and then drums to the right of that in brown. Cinematic type stuff, risers, booms, explosions, sweeps, you know, snap, crackle, pops, any of that. That's generally black right after drums. And then come the mid-range instruments. And I'm probably going to sort through some of these sample elements that are in pink and turn those teal or green, which would be the color of keys and synthesizers. The guitars are in blue. And then it looks like we have the lead vocals I like to have all the way over to the right next to the master fader, to the right of the BGVs that are purple. I have to figure out, is I got to double check these sends.
Do you use the same colors?
I do. I do use the same colors, but I actually just I hired an assistant, Matinicus. Shout out Matinicus, and he actually sent me a session prep the other day, and I went through and showed him like the way we color things, and every single color was wrong. Like when he sent it back. And wait, I'll land here though. I loved it though.
Oh,
I was like, oh, interesting taste, my friend. Like that's cool, whatever. But it's pretty much the same. Yeah, just about. Are you gonna bring in any of the template in?
I am.
Cool.
I'm glad you asked that, Mix Giant.
nice segue.
Spoiler.
Coming on a little fast. I didn't really get to properly, I know you introduced yourself, but I didn't get to just sort of sing your praises for a moment. This is, you guys come over here. Internet people, come over here. This is my little boy.
Right here.
My little boy.
Right here.
Oh,
big
you're growing
boy?
up so fast.
It's grown.
Noah is just the gosh darndest. Yeah, the man. The man. Look at these ears. Show the audience.
Yeah. So
These ears.
because they're bigger, I hear more frequencies.
Right.
Yeah. So
That's science.
that's
I
what they
saw
say.
this in him. I knew it. I was like, this guy's tall. We've got the Mix Giant brand. Yeah, no, dude.
I think you came up with Mix Giant.
I
And
did.
I think I might have come up with Mixland. I don't remember. Unless
Yeah,
you want
you
to.
did. No, you can't.
Yeah.
You named Mixland. I named the Mix Giant.
So now I have 75% of all the profits that he makes from his Mixland plugins.
Oh,
because
there
I
you go.
came
There
up
you
with
go.
the
There you
name.
go. I love it.
Which
I love
are
it.
on the majority of, I was just saying the Rubberband Compressor on the last track that I did with Moritz and Matt. By the end of it, I took a screenshot for Instagram, and the entire like big monitor was just covered in rubber bands. So
I
shout
told
out.
him we should do 30 instances in a row of rubber band comp on the mix bus. Just
Just crank
daisy
it out.
chain some auxes and just see what it sounds like.
Just try-
not.
let's just
Or
turn this
maybe we
into
don't
an
do
ad
that.
for Mixland. I'm down.
I love it.
I do want to make one change real quick. So the stream, we're gonna do a be right back real quick.
All right.
And then we'll come back and we'll.
And we'll get some mixing.
Hey, we'll be right back real quick.
I dabbled and just should not have dabbled with it.
Oh,
because
it's
it
like one
was-
of those things, yeah.
Yeah, but it's
That was like when I started dabbling in 500 series gear. My wallet was like, "What are you doing?
yeah, what do you
Stop.
think? Yeah.
Turn away."
Do you guys know about AI art?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, it's so cool.
That's
Yes.
scaring me.
One of my buddies is getting
Portraits.
into. I have a friend named Jess who's a crazy another Jesse Ray, Jesse Ray Payne, is a crazy 3D graphics like animator or whatever, and he's starting to dabble with the AI like videos. So he's like making AI videos.
Whoa. And Jesse, if you have any questions, let me know about like layout and stuff.
If you have any questions, don't ask me. He's heard it. He's
I
heard
have a
it.
question. Did you guys make this whole song without any markers?
I just dropped it in. It's the stems, so sorry.
No.
I feel bad now.
I'm just trolling.
Damn it. Who's I'm fired. I'm out, guys.
Damn it. Damn it, Bobby.
Yeah, if you
Are
need,
those auto tunes?
Yeah. We got some AT Pros. Did you guys notice they fixed AT Autotune doesn't like do the clicks anymore?
Oh, I didn't know.
It like doesn't like make cracklies all over the. You used to have to like commit stuff down.
yeah, of course.
You mean Crackly's
I've
like
just noticed like I'm not having to do that.
We just ran into one recently, actually. Remember we did that session you did,
Yeah.
and we were just like, "Why is there all these cracklies?" And we just
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, we have to commit and."
Yeah.
and
Oh,
put
it's
it
still
on."
doing it then.
Well, that was
I've never noticed that.
yeah.
I've never had that happen.
If
with
it's
autotune.
just on, sometimes it.
Oh, that, yeah, where you have to take it off too, even if it's bypassed.
We're taking
it'll
it to
create
Antares
a-
today, man.
Well, a secret that shouldn't be a secret. It's like I know so many people who put it on classic mode because of no latency, and
I
then
like-
don't turn it back off. And I think it sounds just so much higher resolution when you turn off classic. I was working on an album, and then we basically get to the end of a lot of the songs, and just going through and changing that from classic to normal mode made the vocals sound like way more expensive.
Oh wow,
So, yeah.
that's a pro move right there.
Same with
That's a cheat code.
You know what? Same with Pro Q zero latency mode.
Yeah.
I went through and changed all the zero latency modes to natural phase, and it's like, oh my god.
There's just more
like,
fidelity.
It's just yeah, it's cleaner. It's more headroom maybe. Like it just sounds less like
I mean, I love
lo-fi.
Yeah.
Q3 for low latency when I'm tracking because I can just like make some of these like really
Exactly.
quick, dial it
Exactly.
in. You know, especially depending on the speed it needs to be moved for that session that we need to be moving at. Like
Yeah.
Q3 is like a godsend, but then yeah, you got to
In the
change.
mix phase, so if you can, it's
Exactly.
helpful.
Gerhard's all hip to this. Not the Klirschbach or whatever that funky new Pro Q3 one is, but like he's some other new EQ plugin that's like $300, and apparently it's like the best filters.
Also,
Talking
shout
about-
out to Gerhard. That guy,
Yeah,
he's-
Shout out Gerhard.
dude, that guy, he's a wealth of knowledge. Like I read very few blogs, and like I'm actually always excited to see what he sends out because I know it's like this like level of care into how speakers and everything works that I'm just like, yeah, I'm here for it. Like I'm glad someone's doing that.
Totally.
Is it bad that the first Gerhard I thought of was former NFL player Toby Gerhard? Anybody? No?
Oh, dude, little T-Tobes.
He's been replaced by Gerhard Westphalen, the audio pioneer.
I think it's
If you
trying
don't know
to.
who Gerhard is, check
think
out
it's trying
Gerhard
to load,
Westphalen on
like,
Instagram.
Revive.
He's
okay.
building
Do
speakers.
you guys have
and
the Avid Pro
microphones
plug? You don't
and
need them. I'll just get
design
rid of those
studios
settings that I'm
and it's
importing.
Incredible.
Yeah, Matt showed me.
What's his
It's
last
really
name?
cool.
Gerhard what?
Westphalen,
Westphalen.
Westphalen. He built my
I love that you
monitor,
just
so
had
it
that
works,
on your like
actually.
Batman.
He's-
Well, you never know.
And
You're
right now,
22
I
also?
mean, you know,
I am
I gotta
22.
have stuff ready. Just like a
Mazel
real session.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, here's how you know it's a real
Incredible.
session. We're having iLock
Oh,
problems.
dude,
Yeah, exactly.
push your life up
You're killing me.
on a different day.
We should have just brought our iLocks. Should have just brought the Mac Pro, the tower.
No metric AB.
Yeah, what's your rig that you're mixing off of?
We both have the same computer. It's a
The rest I can honestly live without
Oh,
metric
the,
AB
the,
today.
the
2013
cheese grater
trash
vibe?
can.
Yeah.
That's- yeah.
Not the cheese
Yeah.
grater, sorry, the old.
I'm
just gonna
oh,
go
the
through
trash
and get
can.
rid of
Yeah,
a couple
trash
things.
I'm rocking the trash
then.
can too.
Really?
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah, it's
Got
like
them for a huge deal.
same. He has a Mac guy. Did you get it?
I
from him?
went to the same thing. I
Yeah,
did the
there
same
we go.
thing.
Do we need to shout out
Jesse,
a
what's your Mac
guy?
guy's name?
Yeah,
again?
shout out to Mac. What is his name again? Our Mac. guy?
Gary.
Yeah,
Gary,
Gary the
yeah.
Mac
G
guy.
sharp.
G sharp, baby.
G sharp.
I call him A flat. It's fine though.
Yeah.
Dude, he's incredible. And he has like a delivery service now. So
Oh, that would have saved me a nice drive, but
I know, right?
Same. To
Oh,
be
so
honest,
you do have Seventh Heaven.
I don't even know if I paid him for it
Oh,
completely. It was
hopefully he's
like
not watching.
2 years ago.
This is-
Yeah, no, I hope. You
this is
should,
somebody
he
to
should
break
let
your
me know
legs.
if he is, because
All good.
I can't even remember.
yeah, I got this. It's like only had 250 gigs on it, so I had to get like new RAM with
That's-
the new thing.
He didn't do that for you?
No, he did. He
Oh,
did. Like,
yeah.
but when I got the original trash can, it was cheap because it was just sort of like the
Mhm.
bare
Gutted.
bones. Like, and now it's. I have to show you. I just finished building a studio in my backyard.
Sick. Hell yeah.
It's cool. It's got like rugs,
All right, I'm just.
Rugs, that's
Yeah, man.
essential
Yeah.
for a studio.
maybe a mini fridge. I don't know. Yeah, they
Yeah,
really do.
absolutely. It's funny, Gerhard actually, I was like, should I get a rug for my room, for the sound? Like 2 years ago or something. And he was like, it's actually a common misconception that a carpet does anything at all. It might actually make you believe it sounds better than it does.
Ooh.
It's just like, okay, no rug.
I gotta tear up all that.
Dude's amazing.
Yeah.
I sent him some mixes yesterday for mastering.
Sweet.
And he always sends like an initial text like, hey, is this, what's the deal? Or, sometimes he won't. But his text came in and said, actually, no, I probably shouldn't say what it said. Never mind. It was something classic Gerhard, though. I'll call him up and be like, yo, what are you up to right now? How are you doing? How are things? Be like, good, I'm reading a book on the Spectre super analysis of third wave physics that exist in the Andromeda Galaxy. And just in case...
Just in case my studio moves there, I want to make sure the waves
the
sound the same.
So I want to make sure the acoustics in
Yeah.
a black hole.
Well, that's what I tell everybody. I mean, like the dude, he dedicates every waking minute of his life to this, and his knowledge and understanding is like it's not just like his life's work. It's like he has amassed the information that all of these authors and experts and scholars before him learned. Like he's
He's a sponge.
He's a sponge.
He absorbs everything.
He's the man. He's great.
Skill, I
He's
wish I had a
Canadian.
little
That's
bit
all
more.
you got to know.
Shout out Canada.
But I didn't know for a while that he interned for Dale Becker. And also, didn't he work with the guy that designed that room? Or some engineer from Canada who was also a wizard, you know, building speakers and
Ken.
building- Yeah.
Ken did Dale's room. And yeah, Gerhard learned a lot about speaker building and cables from the... I should probably be turning to be visible from this camera if I'm talking. Yeah, Ken. Ken's awesome. He's like a super OG. Okay, I'm going to get rid of these. No, Seventh Heaven. Okay, that's okay. All right.
Get rid of whatever you want.
No, it's cool. Viewers, I'm just getting rid of my stuff. Okay, I've been just dumping in a few template things. Sometimes when, you know, there might be scenarios where I need to get snares or vocals to sit in better. So I'll just, you know, instead of pulling up like one, okay, let me pull up a reverb plugin. I'm going to dial that in for a while. It's like, no, I have like 15 here that will be able to just quickly draw up. Well, and some of them are early reflection, late reflection, you know, slap, ping pong, all sorts of different textures that are filtered in different ways, and then we can kind of bring some faders up. Sometimes it's like 10 reverb faders plugged up at the same time, create this kind of cohesive one big mega sound.
For the nerds at home, you should maybe tell them like how you have it sent from like the lead bus and how you route it.
Yeah. Yeah. So my main lead...
Mix Giant here, hoping clarification. Everybody.
Yeah.
The
I have
questions I
one...
would have wanted to understand like a few years ago.
Yeah, this isn't necessarily I'm thinking about changing this. So this isn't the way that I think I want to do it from now on, but it's just a very lazy way that I set it up. The lead vocal bus sends out to one send called effects run. And this effects run is actually hidden. Let's find you, little effects run. I think it's way up here because I didn't move it with the other stuff. Hello, monitor reflection. How are you? Right here. And this little effects run sends pre-fade. It just hides the whole time, but it sends out to all of these different little buses. And then there they are, and there's actually duplicates of some of them, and there's just really no rhyme or reason, but I just don't like having 10,000 different... Oh, I didn't mean to make it inactive. Yeah, I don't want to see a bunch of that stuff. And then you think, well, what if you need to automate just like one of those sends to come on and off? And then I'll just make something special for that. But in general, if I'm doing throws, or if I'm, you know, I need some phrase to sustain, I'm not going to go in and automate the sends. I love to automate, but not with sends. I don't think that it's Pro Tools' greatest strength. At least for me, it takes a little bit too long to do it that way.
We also usually send like the full level from the send and then just pull the fader down to the effect channel, which obviously everyone has their own preference, but we'll just do the automation on those, you know, effects tracks if we need more of it in certain sections.
Yeah, exactly. And then I have a couple of just master fader things I'm just going to put on and just in bypass, and then we can kind of reach for them if the situation calls. A little bit of spectral shaper, a little bit of Ruby, a little fire the clip, a little L2. Oh my gosh, what a weird master bus chain. How nonconformist. These are tools that get the job done. It's beautiful. They sound really good, allow me to move quickly. Of course, I should probably try to do a little tilt in there maybe, because that would be fun as well. Sometimes this isn't the best on the master bus for me because I'll shout out, I love that you can actually you can attenuate and boost in the high end on this in specific ways. That's really cool on the Ruby 2. But I'm coming for you, Ruby 2. I'm going to make a plugin that sounds better. Gonna do it next spring. Keep your eyes open. Okay, we got the song. I want to hear the song. I'm going to pull up some notes, like a little notepad app. It's not my computer, so whenever I flub up and look like an idiot, I'm just going to blame the computer. Like, oh, it's not my system.
It's an easy move.
Yep.
You can also just blame me. It's fine.
Somebody made I love this. I feel like, what's his name? National Treasure guy.
Yeah.
National Treasure guy.
Oh, why? Do you see a note
Nicholas
and you're like,
Cage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is
What's
the
the character's name?
His name is
Jonathan.
I think it's Ben Franklin, isn't it?
No, it's not Ben Franklin.
Is it Ben something?
Jonathan Gates. No, it's Ben Gates.
Ben Gates.
Ben Gates.
Named after Ben. All right,
I feel like
half-
Ben Gates
half
here
credit.
because I have stumbled upon some notes from the past. This is a puzzle now.
I gotta
238.
steal the Declaration of
57
Independence.
seconds. I need to steal the Declaration. So we're gonna. I'm not superstitious. I'm a little stitious. So we're gonna find some ways. We're gonna treat the gods of the past. We're gonna do something magical at 2 minutes 38 seconds
Okay.
in the
like
song. 57 seconds, 25 seconds, and 1:14. What does that mean?
Is that even a real time anymore?
We're gonna do something there. Everybody remind me. I think we should listen to this record. I've never heard this song before. I'm gonna hit play. We're gonna get in. We're gonna feel good. Everybody feeling good?
5% chance everyone leaves after they listen, but I'm okay with that.
No way,
95%
dude.
That's a really low.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
man.
it's actually fine.
We've all worked, we've all really worked hard on this song.
50% coin flip.
Dude, with
5%.
like when sending like sales emails, they say if you have like a click rate of like 3% or higher, it's like a major. So if 5% leave, like that would mean you have like the craziest retention rate ever, and this is great. Apologies
That's the
for
Mixed
the
Land way of
insensitive
looking at
use
it.
of the term craziest. Yeah, we're talking about Mixland. All right, let's hear this. I'm stoked.
Is that Jacob from high school?
If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining, in the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine. Falling so far into your ways, so out of place, and if you ever stand and notice, you'll get so high. Over and over you say I'm your heart. When you focus, you know that I'll always depend on you. But I'm so over you. Oh, it would've been different. Cry on the sidewalk. Oh, it would've been different. Can't sleep without you. Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free. But hold me closer than one more time. Oh, it would've been different. Sitting in the platform. Oh, it would've been different. Can't dream without you. Never say sorry until I scream. But nothing's ever closer in between. Oh, it would've been different. Commonplace, your smile, at worst, your sense of style. I know if you got one thing right, it was you and I. Look great in tangerine, even better in some yellow. Put on dry fits in a dress and I can touch the yellow. Over and over, I say it's your fault. If I stop it and look back, it's always been just for you. I wish I was over you. Oh, it would've been different. Cry on the sidewalk. Oh, it would've been different. Can't sleep without you. Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free. But hold me closer than one more time. Oh, it would've been different. Sitting in the platform. Oh, it would've been different. Can't dream without you. Never say sorry until I scream. But nothing's ever closer in between. It would've been different.
Some of the best results with that mic should be like a foot.
Oh, word. I might have been right there then. You can just ask Matt.
Was this recorded in that room?
And that booth, yeah, the vocals.
Okay, Rab.
the
All right,
Stephanie.
that is the mix. How are we feeling?
That feels great, man.
You
Sweet.
killed it, bro.
Bravo.
Yeah,
Woo!
you knocked it out of the park.
You did it all live in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
This is a great song.
Thanks, man.
I love I remember hearing this now. It's got kind of the Afrobeat bounce and great vocals. Love.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shout out also to Liana, Matt's girlfriend, who did. I sent it to you, and you were like, you know what this needs?
Female
We need a
vocal.
female vocal on the chorus, and she opted and did it. And then when I did for the chorus, there's this big like bah, and it was feeling fine, but just kind of hollow. So I hit up my friend Kieran, who I hope is watching right now. But I sang with him in college, and he is like the craziest like range. I was like wasn't sure if I should hit him up because his voice has just so many things that I wish that my voice can do. But I was like, you know, no, we got to get Kieran on here. Everything that I did, he's going to double it, triple it. And then we just sort of made like big wall of vocals. And that was when the song finally felt like, okay, finally, like we did it. So shout out to them. And my buddy Devin, who played a little bit guitar on this as well. So there's been a lot of people involved, which usually doesn't happen. Usually it's just like me until the end. But I just was like, let's not do that. Let's bring in a lot of people for a low-key song to get a lot of energy into it.
Sweet. So what's like the wish list for the mix? It's sounding like a record already to me. I think that there's some little things here and there. I'm just gonna probably want to sprint around with some EQ, but I want to know where you want to see this song go.
I definitely think for this, like depth and clarity is what I feel like this really has a lot to offer, right? Like there's some real moments of where there's not a lot going on and it's very intimate, and then other stuff where we have a lot of vocals, a lot of different parts moving around, especially in the chorus. And I want to be in a situation where we can get those sort of intimate moments to still be grooving and pushing forward, while at the same time, you know, so you're not like, not to be crude, but you're not like turning it up in your car, like what's going on and like losing it. But then when the chorus comes in, I want it to feel very big, very groovy, obviously, but also sort of like a nice contrast to that intimacy, while at the same time having it not feel like, wait, these don't belong together. Yeah. And have a real sense to talk about your like 3-act thing of like, you know, small, big, small, really big, and then at the end we're just sort of tailing out at the end, sort of grooving and almost like a fade out, which not actually a fade out, but just the arrangement was sort of to sort of have it kind of go away like that. So as long as we can emphasize those things and then get it to like be like bumping at the same time in a way where you're like, this like grooves, even though it's pretty low key. Like the only thing I'm worried about is that clarity and then just energy as well. Even though it's a very laid back performance and everything's really chill, like I want it to still have that energy through, I think, EQ, those background vocals to really sparkle and like really be sort of like a wall of angelic boys choir of me and my buddy from college. Does that, Matt, what do you think? Does that,
Me and the boys.
I mean, the chorus has this wonderful ability to like, because like the intro, you know, with the sampled vocal part, like it's this very intimate thing, and the chorus can really like, it's all these stacks and layers that like, if clarity comes from that, then kind of referencing what he's already saying, I feel like once we get there, it just needs to bloom, you know, and then go back to being intimate and then blooming again.
Cool.
I think it's just trying to like emphasize a lot of there's one thing about Jacob's productions whenever we're working together that I'm always, and maybe you've run into this before too when working with him, is that like there's these ear candy moments that he sort of like will make, and like sometimes I think he's just like, oh, this is cool, whatever, and then like tuck it away, or like it's not as emphasized, and then like I'll hear it and I'll be like, oh, that's really cool, and then I'll add on top of that to like sort of create movement or another texture, because like his layers that he creates can be very dense, but then once you kind of open that up a little bit, all of a sudden it's like every layer has a moment, and I think that's kind of the goal whenever we work on mixes and productions together. I don't know, Jake.
Great. So we want to highlight the contrasting scene changes, but we're sort of riding a fine line by, we want it to be listenable too, right? So we're not going from, you know, dull to like this exploding loud where people have to kind of turn it down.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, we've talked about this before. It's like, I want it to still feel pop, be, right? Like I want it to still feel like a pop track, not just like an indie track. And I know that the vocal often will, I think the vocal and the performance and the arrangement are gonna encapsulate that sort of indie vibe. Like we're already gonna sort of get there. So one thing that I always talk about whenever I'm like having somebody mix one of my tracks is like, I still want it to feel like it's for a pop audience. Not obviously we're not gonna fucking, crank it and all that, but just really so keep that focus and that often, still feature the vocal heavily, still do stuff that's more traditional because the arrangement itself, it's already like a lot going on. There's always a lot of mid-range in the stuff that I do. And there's often stuff that can get in the way of the vocal. And I still want to say like any instinct that you have or you have like that's in more of that pop R&B sphere, like that is something I want to lean into because that's something that I think could really add a nice character to the track. Because right now it's there and it's vibing, but like I want it to start to like really have like a point to it and like a direction to it. Whereas at times my issue as I was mixing it and producing it, I was like, this is all cool, it's all there, but I feel like there's some like we need some of this going on where like it's not just sort of like a flat, everything feels at times a little flat, where we can really get into that three-dimensional state of like a hierarchy of like sounds and stuff. I'm sort of rambling right now, but I'm trying to get into it. Love it. What about you? What about you, Mixed Giant? What do you think?
I think like level stuff is probably gonna do a good amount, and like Jesse said, just like EQ moves across the board. I'm kind of hearing like different atmospheric ideas that I think would be cool on the stacks and on the vocals, and I like the contrast. I think if we could not keep the mix like narrow, but like in terms of the transition from the beginning into like the first chorus, like if we could create that like release of depth into the chorus, I think would be cool. But yeah, I think feels cool. I like some of the sounds, I like the bass sound that you guys use, and I think just juicing it up, like giving it warmth.
Juice it.
I feel like a good like ref I've said is like it sort of has still woozy vibes to it with like more with those sort of like bleeps and bloops and those bass things coming in and like weird moments popping in and out. But the way that he can sort of again, it's still it doesn't feel like it feels like it has more of a direction, and that's what I always want to push towards, just direction and transitions always for sure.
I think, and I want to ask what you think about this, but to me, like, the songwriting and production has, like, a very lush vibe, and what I was hearing throughout it is that it'd be cool if the mix could contrast that and, like, bring more attitude and, like, aggression, not
That's
in a
cool
way
now,
that,
yeah.
like, changes the vibe of the song, but, like, yeah, I feel like it needs something to, like, challenge the lushness a little bit, or else it's kind of
that's
like,
great.
la, 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 la. But it's a great song.
But
I love to
no, but
sing
I
it.
actually feel you.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was.
Which is like the pop, hip hop.
The pop,
like,
just something that's a
attitude.
little bit more attitude, a little bit more grittiness. Because right now we're very floaty and pretty, but like, yeah. No. No, only kick. That's it.
Only
Just
kick.
kick.
Yeah.
That's it. The only thing.
I think
need.
that'll.
Sick.
So do
Okay, I want to hear it again and just kind of now this time start navigating around, maybe pushing some of those sectional groups, like some of the BGVs that are working together, into their own aux, and just start busting some stuff so we can do some like group EQing and maybe some fader balances. I'm just gonna kind of run around for a little bit. Whenever somebody speaks up, I'll hit stop, and then we can all be audible and talk, and we can kind of go for it.
Is that Jacob from high school?
If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining, in the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine. Falling so far into your ways, so out of place.
Hold up. So is that's an intentional kind of thing? Like the vocals in this different room were filtered for that first line, and then yeah, and then we're okay. And I think we got to differentiate that the other elements too, because it doesn't feel like enough of a change. Do you agree, or am I?
actually that was
hell
one
yeah.
of the first things I was
Okay.
gonna say. But
Well, then that should be where we start.
Is that
Don't give me that pre-roll.
Is that Jacob from high school?
If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining, in the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine. Falling so far into you.
Okay. So I think
Falling so far into
split that off. Split the drums off. Do a little filterino. That's slang for filter.
High school?
If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining, in the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine.
High school?
And we can tweak that, but that's just enough to get the idea for right now. I want to hear the same thing with this little track.
Time while you complaining, in the morning you'll stay later.
Actually,
So that's doubled.
yeah,
And what I was gonna say is we should actually just mute those at the beginning.
If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining, in the morning you'll
should we leave the verb in the back?
I think so. That's cool. It's a vibe.
If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining, in the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine.
Maybe a mute there in the perk.
Later and I'll feel fine.
Ooh, that's
good.
how- yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Later and I'll feel fine. Later,
And I think
later and I'll feel fine.
gung gung. Oops. I do not want quick keys on. Yeah, I want one more of those. Except that. There. Yes.
Later and I'll feel fine. Falling so far.
Yeah.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah.
Noah's gonna take his turn in a couple minutes and get up here and just like undo.
Undo everything. Yeah.
Just open up the undo list.
Duplicate playlist. Extend them all the way.
By all means.
It's gonna do like a reset.
Falling so far into your ways, so out of place. And if you ever stay,
Jesse comes from a very musical background with drum experience, guitar experience, production experience. So he's very equipped to duplicate that drum situation because, he knows how to, yeah, he knows his way around the grid in Pro Tools.
That's when I learned how to produce. I was like, oh, I can just copy paste these drums. There we go.
I just need to decide.
Have you heard of Splice?
I'm proud. I don't think that beginning sample came from Splice. It'd be bad if it did. Someone in the chat's like, actually, that's R&B Group 1 from Kashmir.
Oh my god, that'd be so funny.
Yeah,
and what you're hearing now, folks, is
uh,
actually
They're all presets from Splice, Serum, and Massive X.
in Logic Library.
Yeah.
falling so far into your ways, so out of place. And if
I don't want these on.
you falling so far into your ways, so out of
Get out of here. Get out of there.
place. And if you ever stand and notice you'll get so. And if you ever stand and notice you'll get so.
Okay, anyway, it's something there.
And if you ever stand and notice you'll get so high. Over and over you say I'm your heart. When you focus you know that I'll always do. And if you ever stand and notice you'll get so high. Over and over you say I'm your heart. When you focus you know that I'll always depend. And if you ever stand and notice you'll get so.
Option shift changes the shape.
And if you ever stand and notice you'll get so. And if you ever stand and notice you'll get so high. Over and over you say I'm your heart.
Option shift.
Option shift
Oh,
changes
yeah.
shape, everybody. In Fab.
Yes.
And if you ever stand and notice. And if you ever stand and notice you'll get so high. Over and over.
It's kind of a constant thing with this. I might just even.
And if you ever stand and notice.
Is that from the C800, do you think, Jesse?
I don't. I hear like there's some sort of split modulation, widener, something delay in the top end.
Chorus.
What, did we
I
do
thought
anything?
there
I
was
don't
like
think
a
so.
like a micro shift on, like turned
I
on.
don't think so. I think we left it pretty dry for this.
Were your
exact-
headphones cranked? That might be it.
Maybe, but again, like
It's okay.
probably not.
We solo it.
And if you ever stand and notice you'll get so high. Over and over you say I'm your heart. When you focus you know
It's
that
the
I'll
C800
always
thing, though. I feel like it really just
depend on you.
exaggerates the
And
sibilance
if you
so
ever
much.
stand and notice you'll get so high. Over and over you say I'm your heart. When
All cool.
falling so far into your ways, so out of place. And if you ever stand and notice.
Ah, that's a loop.
Yeah, man, this is probably my most simple percussion arrangement.
Some like digital distortion way in the top.
Yeah.
Feel that?
Focus, you know that I'll always depend. Oh, it would've been different. Crap on the sidewalk.
Anyone at home watching who might be wondering, how loud is Jesse mixing right now? He's playing the speakers, these big PMCs, quieter than a volume you could play off your iPhone. And that's why he gets the big buck.
That is why he gets the big bucks.
Oh, it would've been different. Crap on the sidewalk. Oh, it would've been different. Can't sleep without you. Loving that. Oh, crap on the sidewalk. Loving.
In Orange County before he came back, and I was like, I forget. I always forget how quiet he listens, and I've been in all these like recording environments too. Meanwhile, mixing, and no one dreams of listening this quiet. But
What's another good distortion if I don't have Omega?
Do you have thermal? By output?
Oh, we have Spectre.
Thermal's.
Oh, Jacob suggested something cool. I'll do that.
Thermal, fuck.
Dude, I'm not here to. I'm just here to. I'm just here to look good and.
hit him with the de-emphasis mode enabled.
What does that do?
It like levels it, so you're just adding saturation.
Oh.
It's disgusting.
It's pretty.
Also, always. More kick is always good for me. Like that's my like even if we're doing like a ballad.
Wait, what is Spectre adding besides saturation?
That is what it's adding. So it's like
But why does the de-emphasis mode?
it just saturates. There's no level change. So if you don't enable that, it adds gain.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's just nice if you want the tone of something to change. Like
That's
you could,
cool.
if you put Spectre in that mode before like a
It'll
reverb
boost, yeah.
or something, you could like saturate the whole thing with
That's
8
tight.
different modes, so that the texture is just a little different going into something.
Oh, sorry.
Not for you, but for us talking back here. You're good.
Okay.
You keep doing whatever you're doing.
Crap on the sidewalk. Oh, it would've been different. Can't sleep without you. Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free. But on the closer little one more time. Oh.
I'm used to
Is
I'm used to emphasis.
is the de-emphasis throwing you off? Because you're not getting that extra level.
Oh, it would've been different. Crap on the sidewalk. Oh, it would've been different. Can't sleep with.
I'm gonna come back to that. I'm losing the forest through the trees. Okay, I want to group the. Oh, baby. Let's identify what we have here. Bunch of O's. Oodles and oodles of O's. We're gonna make those their own thing. Maybe just put these up here. Oh!
I don't think I committed to any panning. If I did,
Why is the default out line 1 and 2 and not main 1 and 2? All good. And I just want that stuff off too.
Jesse is now saving a preset with the analyzers off, so that every time he adds Pro Q, which is going to be
Nom and
on every single track,
set
it'll
as
have it.
user. You set as user default.
You might be wondering, why would we turn the analyzers off? It's because Jesse's using his ears for this mix.
not trying to flex and be a weirdo about that, but it leads me in the wrong direction. I see those things and then I start to like want to grab 10 bands and I'm doing stupid stuff that I wouldn't have done if I just had grabbed what I thought I needed in the first place. Barkin. Oh my god, pre-fader monitoring. Whoa. Whoa. I still hear it. Is it you?
Why do you care
It's
about
those-
that? Aren't you using your ears?
It's those verb sends.
Yeah, the verb sounds are.
Oh, cool. Well, I'm just gonna pull that same little baby over there.
That's the committed verb, right? That we did. Okay.
That we have. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. If you want to fire that reverb, that's fine.
Oh, cool. That's given some good stuff, I think.
Promises you kept and broke, that's free. But on the closer little one.
Still feel like this kick has this like clickiness, and I keep trying to get rid of it, and it keeps coming back.
rearing its head.
Yeah, it's like a stickiness.
A stickiness.
It's like it's a clear head. I want to have more of that coated batter head
Okay.
with the wood beater. A little more of the the felt beater.
So yeah, it'd be like less of a dance kick, more of like a rounded sound.
Yeah, I want the presence there, but I'm like thinking of, we focus it a little more Bonham-y. I've been called a 1K guy before. That I'm beginning to wonder if that's part of my sound.
Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke.
Rubberband. Oh, do we go Rubberband Comp Beta 1?
Yeah, I have
Compressor?
I think I have every version that you've ever tried. Like I've tried them on every one of these rigs.
I want OG. I've been using OG Rubberband.
What?
That has been like the jam lately.
Dude,
Judas.
two is the sauce.
2 is pretty saucy for sure.
But one is special. One's like my firstborn child. I learned
Hey, one
things.
It's Katrina, then the Rubberband Compressor. That's.
Oh my god. It's like looking at an iPhone 4S.
I know. Done.
Mix complete.
Right.
It's that one knob Mixland guarantee. Turn one knob, and you're done.
You're done.
Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's about to be.
Noah, I'm about to like hand you over. Do you think before I do that, do you think we split up like verse chorus for vocal process? Yeah. You're gonna be cool working that way. Okay, so where does that come from? That's a response vocal. No, 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 no.
Cry on the side.
I'm gonna move that down by the lead because that behaves like a lead instrument.
Cry on the sidewalk.
Sometimes you gotta cry on the sidewalk, dude. We've all been there.
Are you good?
Are you okay,
Is
Jacob?
everything okay?
I've been told that listening to my stuff is just a lot of "Are you okay?" But you're also kind of like that. Oh no, my lollipop.
Yeah, it's amazing. This is like a really great point in the process for.
I guess a couple quick questions before we,
Yeah,
we do
please.
the swap. We were having a small discussion about your speaker level that I don't think the audience really got to hear because you were working. You are very quiet, like compared to anybody who's been in this room before.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it much louder than I want to because I know that you guys are here. I don't want it to be. It's not about my experience. I want everyone to be a part of it, so I'm turning it up a little louder for that
Of course, but I mean, have you always mixed that quiet? I don't even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why that's. I might have some sort of strange sensitivity or some sort of hyperacusis or something that's maybe undiagnosed, but I experience like a very intense uncomfortability when things are really loud. So yeah.
He has 2 children.
Yeah.
We're very young and live in rooms connected to his studio. So sometimes we're on the phone and he's like, yeah, I think they can probably hear me through the walls. So.
And you're like, trust me, no one's in danger of hearing your mix level.
Well, when you were playing it back, I was saying the first time I came in for one of the songs we were doing, you were like, I'm excited to hear your thoughts. You press play and it comes back and it's super quiet. And I'm kind of like, this is like, because I'm so used to hearing Mix Andrea play stuff back really loud because it makes it sound like better. And I was like, wow, like you're quiet. And you looked at me and you're like, if we can get it to sound good here, it's only going to sound better like when we crank it up. And then the way that we started listening to some ref stuff and you were turning it down and it sounded so drastically different from like where you were going up to at the end. And the way you've phrased loudness is sort of like indulging in the loudness rather than like sort of needing that as like a reference point to me. And I really got into that. Now, whenever I'm working at some point, I'll turn like way down and just be like, does this sound like okay at this volume? Or am I really leaning on the fact that it's like, oh yeah, like this has energy just because like I'm cranking it up? And that's something that I learned from you that I still use like every day.
That's funny. That's classic J-Ray just bullshit because I just don't even know what I was talking about. I think the biggest proponent is that I think a room comes alive at a certain level and it'll just start to behave a certain way. This is a wonderful room that sounds really, really powerful and exciting at low levels. And it's like, we get to... I'm sorry. I love there was so much effort put forth to be subtle and not interrupt, and I made sure that you wouldn't succeed. Yeah, no, I don't know. Everybody's different. I guess it is really important to cater to the artist though. So if you want it louder, please let me know.
Again, I mean, I always say this to people, and I think that's one of the reasons you also said this to me. Is I was like, hey, if I wanted to do this, if I wanted it a certain way, I'd do it by myself. Like I'm working with other people. Like I always see it as like two artists working together, not just like, yeah, like I don't know, make it sound like professional.
So even if you're doing like low end and trying to hear subs, you keep it at this level?
Really good question. Okay, incredible. So, yeah, it's awesome. Because I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about this all morning. Because the PMCs just give this. Like I hear the low end pretty well. Like I'm really needing to But you heard on a couple of the kick things, I would bring it up a little louder. On my setup, I'm on like this sort of more old school, like passive system that's like, they're 2 ways, they're not 3 ways. Is the PMC a 3-way? I don't know anything about PMC. But they're not beefy and exciting, and they're not really modern sounding. So they're really lean in the low end. They're like kind of like NS10-y, or it's a lot, you know, you get the mids and the highs, and then there's like an implied low end when you're listening quietly. So it's like I kind of have to like crank it way up. And that's something I had always heard, like Manny would do that. He's like, well, I start them, I'll, you know, get really, really loud and like get everything pumping. And then I turn it back down, and then the rest of the mix is like getting the mid-range right. And
Oh, okay.
so I kind of stuck with that.
First time I heard your room was at the old house in Van Nuys. I was like, there's like very little low end
Yeah.
here. And I was like, is that how it's supposed to sound in a good room? Because I was using the Stark like home theater sub in a tiny little room.
Shout out
Shortwave.
Stark, great
Shout out-
products. Not so much the sub one, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I don't know, SW12 or something. I
Yeah.
use the sub 35 or something now
Dope.
from them, which is like there's a active driver and like 2 passive drivers. It's a beast. It's great, but that other one was terrible. And when I went to your room, I couldn't tell if it was the converter or the speakers or what, but I was just like, everything feels very much like one
Like very
image
tame,
coming out. Like it felt, you know, glued together. I was like, maybe that's what a professional room sounds like. But I liked your garage setup more than
Oh my gosh, the
The
garage
old
setup
room.
sounded pretty good. Still light.
That was
It
with
didn't
those
give you that-
big towers, right? Sorry to interrupt. Those with the big great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an awesome setup.
Jesse's known on the internet as the guy with the supersized tube traps and the NS10 Atmos setup. You're just the troll of the mixing.
Yeah, dude,
community.
I love getting trolled by everybody about
What's-
it too.
You again, I walked in initially, I was so impressed. You had all the gear, all the outboard stuff. I was like, yes, I can't wait to hear my voice through that thing and that thing. Next day, I think the next time I came in, it was just gone. Just like in the room. It's a couple stuff on the wall, and it was way cooler. You could really explore the space and like hear it from
Yeah.
different angles. So cool.
We did all of your original stuff that we did together was in the bedroom.
In the bedroom. Yeah.
The
It was proper bedroom pop. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah,
but
I mean the bedroom was treated so.
That place was awesome.
So much. I mean, like in the sweet spot, it was great. Like we're talking just like super chunks in every corner and clouds and things stuffed above the clouds and panels and just like every corner was just stuffed and full, and it was great in the sweet spot. And like anywhere outside of that was just wildly flawed and all over the place. But there's something so tight about it that was cool.
I just saw like screenshots of like when we first started working and you were still in that room. And there's like, you know, Jesse made these like how to this, how to that, and like recorded it because you were doing some kind of streaming something. And so he made these little videos for me because I was still kind of getting going with Pro Tools and whatnot. And it was funny seeing you in that room, but you did all the Tiffany stuff there, right? Like before, like she went over to your house for a session at that house, and I feel like you did a lot of cool stuff there.
African
and the
Giant,
Pasadena
Twice
room.
as Tall. We did Woman in that room.
I've heard that song.
Mm.
Same with the
It's
billing
like a
of it.
small indie
Yeah.
artist, yeah.
Wild. I would have much rather mixed all of it here, man. This is just so great.
Everything good with Moritz? Yeah. Okay.
I'm just, as head engineer, I have to go put out some fires every once in a while.
Do you
I
have any
love it.
business cards?
Do I have
put
business
out I
cards?
put out fires. Head engineer.
I honestly, I think I'm gonna do a video series where I interview a fire extinguisher for a runner job. And I'm just gonna be like,
Oh.
can you, how do you feel under pressure? And then it's a fucking fire extinguisher, which is like high pressured, air essentially. And are you good at putting out fires? And it's a
I
fucking
get it.
fire extinguisher. Sorry,
I like
I've
it.
overly
I like
explained
it.
this joke.
Yeah.
No, you don't need to explain it. I think
I've overly explained it.
we all knew.
All
I want to get a cup of coffee.
right.
I want to hand over the reins for those of you just tuning in. My son, my brother in Christ, Noah, mixed Giant Glassman. At one point, assistant protege who has now become a name mixer, complete badass, biggest in the West, literally.
Tallest mixer, yeah.
6'11" without shoes on.
The disrespect. I've grown. It's been like 3 years.
Are you kidding?
I'm 7 foot on the dot.
You're
No.
7 foot on the dot
Yeah,
without
I'm
shoes.
I'm 7 foot
Get
on
the
the dot.
hell out of here.
You're out of the shot. That's how tall you are.
Wow.
It's close though, right?
Yeah, no, you're good.
Hold on, we
Just-
got to go back to back.
Yeah,
Stop
back to
standing
back.
on
Well,
Jesse.
and step,
Jesse-
step to the left just a little bit.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
6'7". So you guys can guess.
Yeah, do the math.
You know what? I'm just gonna adjust this camera.
Wait, it's so not in the frame.
Just you just don't. Just
Yeah.
to get an idea. This is what we're dealing
Yeah,
with.
it's not. It's basically like pecs down is the
Yeah,
shot.
but Jesse is 7 foot in my eyes. When
Oh,
I think of him.
man.
When I
Thank
think
you.
of him.
Thank
'Cause
you.
If he's
the
mixed
mixed
giant,
tiger.
if you're mixed giant, you're the mixed iron giant.
Oh, dude, that was a very underrated. That was kind of a forgotten.
I know.
That's a forgotten film.
We've had that conversation before.
Have we really?
Yeah.
That one like hits the heartstrings. Dude, that Iron Giant was,
That was
just,
great.
Like, he had big feelings.
Great
dude.
flick.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Like I want to hug that big clanky.
Yeah.
son of a bitch.
Just by the way, Jesse and I mixing ends up neither us talking about something like the Iron Giant or Star Wars or
Pokemon.
something. Film related, yeah.
For sure.
All right, dude. Pleasure to co-mix with you always. Yeah.
absolutely, man.
Take it away, dude.
Well, and let's do this. Let's just swap that lav out. Let's just do it.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
I'm gonna put your cup right
And then I'm gonna go retrieve a cup of Joseph from.
Wasting your time while you complaining. In the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine.
See you, Mix Giant.
If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining in the morning. If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining in the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine.
Are we waiting for Jesse and we'll hop back on?
No, please.
We're
Yeah,
live.
go
We're
for
live
it.
again. Say anything bad you want about him now.
I will. Oh, is that a zero latency auto tune or a Pro Q? Nice.
Highschool.
If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining in the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine. Falling so far into your way.
Highschool.
If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining in the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine.
I want to kind of just like take the music. And is this sampled Vox thing supposed to be muted? Was that like a production decision?
Do you mind if I walk up next to you?
Yeah, no problem.
So what it is the background vocals, and they've been heavily saturated as just a layering thing.
It would've been different. Can't sleep without you. Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free. But all my gloves in little one.
Do we have a ref mix in here, or are we?
I think the ref mix was just how they came out of the box.
Do you have a bounce, or do you guys
No,
have?
I don't think
cool.
so. Yeah, we
That's
just
fine.
wanted to go straight up.
Yeah, we just wanted to just like
Cool.
here's where we
Yeah.
left off. Like,
Yeah.
go for it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, typically the way Jesse and I would work if you guys weren't in the room with us would be, we have the ref just
Yeah.
ready to A/B, because I think, there's plenty of mixers who are like, oh, screw your ref mix, like try to get as far away from it as they can. I think Jesse just did a little video with Audio Movers about like a horror story or something, and when you try to take it too far from like what you guys intended with the song, it's like at that point I think it's more of like adding your own flair than what matters for the song. And so I think we just want to be respectful of
My vibe
where
is-
you guys got it to.
No one's gonna be more disrespectful of my ref mix than me. So I've always had this happen where like people are like, well, you were doing this. I'm like, I've had the best moments I've had with Jesse, with Matt or Moritz is just like, even if there's times where I'm like, no, that sucks. Like, we're not gonna do that, and everyone's professional, so it doesn't matter. But the best times are always just like, hey, we found this thing, we turned it up, we thought that sounded cool, and I'm like, I forgot that was even in there. Like, there's a track we did that a thing is now featured in it. That's my favorite thing, and it was just like an old layer that had been there like my second day working on the track, and now it's like my favorite part of the song. So I never try to like do a ref mix, because then I just feel like you're sort of stuck in like
Yeah.
Jurassic Park, like amber, and you're just trying to like make that better. But I totally get it. If you're working with, if you're not in the room with somebody, that sounds like a nightmare. I mean, when we worked together, I sent you a ref mix, and you basically just took that and made it sound like a professional did it. But this is like, we're just gonna have fun.
Yeah, I've been working on a project the last like year and a half with a team like very closely, and even for myself, like it's really hard to maintain objectivity because you do a bounce, you know, you leave the studio, you do a bounce, and then you do another bounce, and then you make production changes, and you do another bounce, and eventually you're just like, I kind of like version 4, but I like parts of version 6, and I like parts of whatever, and I think it makes it hard to be open to new ideas or fresh ears on something.
It's like building a foundation on top of another foundation, on top of another one. I mean, even right there, Jesse, the first thing you did was delete all the stems.
I like the more simplistic approach to the song. Yeah, the arrangement just opened up. That's great.
Just delete.
Oh man. All right. Well, I'm gonna jump in on the music again.
It's living on my hard drive. I haven't opened it yet. It's open on some sessions that I get, but I have not. I know. My mix giant on the track has been trying to tell me to use it for years.
Promises you kept and broke, that's free. But I'll make up a little one more time. Oh, it would have been different. Sitting without home. Oh, it would have been different. Can't dream without you. Never say sorry until I scream. Nothing's ever close to you between. It would have been different. Oh, it would have been different. It would have been different. Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free.
And then the thing for the Leanna's vocals is more, it's like a feel don't hear kind of vibe, I feel like, because if it's a little too loud, it kind of starts to sound like a duet. Yeah. And then when she doesn't come in, it's kind of like, oh, what? So I'm not trying to diss the love of Leanna. That's my one note, is that like we want to feel, not hear. That's
Cool.
If you're gonna be working on that.
Oh, it would have been different. Crap on the side. Oh, it would have been different.
She does sound good.
Oh, it would have been different. Crap on the side. Oh, it would have been different. Can't sleep without you. Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free. But I'll make up a little one more time. Oh, it would have been different. Sitting without home. Oh, it would have been different. Can't dream without you. Never say sorry until I scream. But nothing's ever close to in between. It would have been different. Oh, it would have been promises you kept, you broke, that's free. But hold me close a little one more time.
We weren't the right people to bring on here and just mess with each other the whole time.
Trolls.
Mix is dope. We're not on when the song is playing. So
No, we are on one. He's just pressed pause now.
no, now we
know,
are.
Oh,
now
yeah.
we
yeah.
I got in the headspace by listening to Tim Heidecker on the way over here. You ever check out Office Hours?
Mm-mm.
You know Tim Heidecker, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's hysterical.
What are you
The
doing
best.
up there, Noah?
I am making an aux to send 808 to take just the top end into a more stereo place. Something Jesse and I do a lot. We have our S bass tracks that aren't in here right now, but I'm just making one now where basically we filter the low end out of the bass, which you would be like, oh, why? But I think to get bass to translate on small speakers, phones, Echo, whatever your home speaker is, having top end helps it to come through and not really like, I don't want to boost a bunch of top end in it because I don't want it to take away from like the deep nature of the 808, but I think just to give it like a little more of an audible, I guess, a character, because it feels good. I'm like listening to the bass in here. I don't know if it's the room or what, but it feels right already, like in terms of where the low end is at this volume.
It's
Obviously,
definitely because I did a whole bunch of work to it before you sat down.
Exactly.
If you wanted, you can import the template. It's like I have the data they import.
Where is
The jaundice Michael James Flugelbinder
This
right
one?
there, that guy.
Sick.
Douglas Bubble Trousers.
Yeah, Douglas Bubble Trousers. Yeah, he co-mixed all the Doja stuff with you, right?
Dude,
Douglas, yeah.
The D.
I've heard of her too.
The D man. Highschool Jacob discovered Doja Cat. Did you know that?
What?
That actually that
He
is
like-
that
he-
is a good story.
Like,
Can I tell that story?
Many years, yeah.
I'd love to hear
I
that
was
story.
I was an intern at Records for a summer just because I was like, maybe I'll be an A&R and sort of music doesn't work out,
Yeah.
which I'm not. That's not for me.
Yeah.
But one of our things was every day after during the day we'd have to have some artists that we'd show. So I'd mainly just go on HypeM at the time and just look at the second or third page and then just be like, hey, this person's cool. And it was such a waste of time because they just kind of wanted us to be keeping busy, but they're not going to reach out you're too big of a label to have a intern be like, hey, let's reach out to so-and-so and tell them that they're really cool. But anyways, I remember the So High, the Evil Needles track that she did was second. It was about to become the first page of Hypem, but that day maybe it was second page. And I was like, this song is really cool. And I showed it to my boss and he was like, yeah, this is cool. Send her an email. So I sent her an email from jacobmasters@gmail.com. I'm like, hey, and I felt really bad because I know that this is not really official, but I'm it's my job. So I'm like, hi, this is Jacob. I'm here at Atlantic Records and we really like this song. And of course her manager responds immediately because it's a big deal. And they're like, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm Doja Cat's manager. She's only 17, but she's the hardest working person I know. We're out here doing all this stuff. And I was like, this is cool. This person's really dope. And then of course, because I'm an intern, no hate or anything, but it was just kind of I was like, what do I say? They're really, they responded. They were ready to come. And they were just kind of oh, never mind. We're not looking for anybody right now or whatever. And I was like, again, I'm not trying to be.
The label said that. The label didn't allow a
Yeah.
next step to take place.
Which was weird. It was don't ask me to do it. Now I feel bad because I'm an artist, right? So I'm if I ever got an email from fucking a guy who says he works at Atlanta, and then like a week later he's like, never mind. It's like, what the hell? It was so like, I felt like really unfair. And then when Doja Cat started popping off, I was just like, not that I would ever be an A&R person. I think I'd be terrible at it. But I was just like, I was on that shit like 2 years ago, man. Like, oh.
Dude, you'd be good at anything you want to do.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you very
Seriously.
much. But it was just funny because I wasn't really mad at anybody. It was just, you could just tell. I mean, this is like, I'm being interviewed as like a dumb, like magazine. It's like, yeah, you could just, but you really could just tell. It was like, oh, she just sounds awesome and is super cool. And the fact that she immediately reached out and was like, I can do X, Y, C, A, B, C, whatever. And it's like, and I'm 16. It's like I was like 19 at the time, and I was like, you know, kind of making beats or whatever. And she was like already like, you know, had her whole team together. But I just remember when you started working with her, I was like, I have an in. Like, I can talk to Jesse about this because I have no relation to this person except for I emailed her one time.
That's right. You told me this when we had Coral Tree Cafe in Encino. You know, I would never say this, but some might say that she dodged a bullet by not signing with Van Halen.
All I know is I'm gonna have to edit this a little later.
But
When she signed up,
the funny thing also, a good Jesse memory from that is you just won a Grammy, and I'm like, congratulations on not only like you have this beautiful family, you're doing well, and you just won a Grammy, and then you go, yeah, man, that's great. I got this Grammy, and it was, you know, my life's great. It hasn't changed, you know, it's just keeping going. That's the thing. And now all I want to do, you know, is just work on hit records. And in my head, I'm like, to have just won a Grammy and be like, yeah, I want to work on hit records. I'm like, yeah, man, like you're already doing that. And then within maybe a month or something, it's like, hey, I just, you know, worked on this track with Doja Cat. And then it's like goes like #1 or whatever. I was like, you just figured it out, man. You just knew, you just manifested in such a cool way. And I really appreciated that. It was such a cool conversation. Like, I just want to do this thing. And then you just did it. It was so cool to watch.
I am watching it too. I'm just hanging out. I feel I'm a grateful passenger, man. And it's like all of us, we are living. I mean, some may debate it, but I think it's one of the most interesting and cool cities to live in the world. And we are without a doubt, nobody can argue that we're working in the coolest industry in the world, doing what we love to do every single day. As a job, like,
Yeah,
are you
really
kidding?
nice.
This is the jackpot, and yeah, I'm lucky. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the love in this room. I'm feeling grateful, feeling the gratitude.
And I'm gonna manifest too. I just want to work on hit records.
Yeah,
Let's see what happens.
yeah.
Next month, I'm gonna text
Yeah,
you.
next month. That was cool. Also, the whatever I got was good. You recommended something, and I got it at Coral Tree, and it was really good. I forgot what it was.
Yeah, that place.
Oh, it was the banana latte.
Yeah, that's
That
like their
is really
specialty.
good. Yeah.
Shout out Coral Tree Cafe
Yeah,
in
shout out-
Encino.
Banana
missed
latte.
it.
Banana latte. It was very good, honestly. And shout out to shout out to Stella as well.
Yes.
You also got her a latte that day.
Oh, I did, but I got her avocado toast, but it sat out in the sun.
Oh no.
And then when it got home, the avocado was all brown. The toast was all. So
just
she
got her
didn't.
brown toast.
She didn't eat her brown toast. So I
That
got
sounds
to
like a
eat
you
it.
thing though. Oh, you ate it though.
I closed it. I made it into an avocado sandwich, so I couldn't see the gross looking
Nice.
avocado. But then I ate it, and it still tasted good.
It was an avocado tartan. I don't know.
I'm like, Matt's over there. I mean, kind of over the director of this
Yeah.
thing.
I'm trying.
It's just like, so this is what this episode turned out to be. Okay.
What did I do when I invited Jesse? Did I think we were going to be doing Coral Cafe? No,
It's pretty good though.
but it's pretty good.
All right, I will say within the next like 10 minutes, we should be looking at the picture of the song and like getting that chorus like worked out. I think we've been like on the verge of dissecting things too long, which is probably my fault for yapping at everybody. But I'm like, now I'm craving. I'm like, okay, let's get this song behaving.
Definitely.
Let's get that chorus speaking.
I'm gonna work on this bass for 1 second.
So of course I want to get in the chair and EQ the kick drum for a few minutes. Oh no, you finished it. You were in the middle of the bass thing. Yeah.
So as you can see, when I pull that up all the way, you almost can't even hear what it's doing because it's literally just in the top end, but can make a big difference just in terms of translation.
Is that Jason Joshua over there blending in a parallel bus?
Who would have thought?
Can't sleep without you, loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free. But I'll make up some little one more time. Oh, it would have been different. Something without you. Oh, it would have been different. Can't dream without you. Never say sorry until I scream. But nothing's ever close to you between. It would have been different. Oh, it would have been different. Cry on the sidewalk. Oh, it would have been different. Can't sleep without you, loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free. But I'll make up some little one more time. Oh, it would have been different. Something without you. Oh, it would have been different. Can't dream without you. Never say sorry until I scream. But nothing's ever close to you between. It would have been different. Oh, it would have been different. Cry on the sidewalk. Oh, it would have been different. Can't sleep without you, loving at a premium with me. Oh, it would have been different. Cry on the sidewalk. Oh, it would have been different. Can't sleep without you, loving at a premium. Oh, it would.
I don't know what he put. What did you put on? What's the parallel
kick.
bus? The bass
top
thing.
end
The top.
send.
Oh, there's actually 3, but this one is just Echo Boy 100% wet with 0 time, so that it's just a tone box. And then just grabbing, there's all these different things, which is kind of nice for I like it for more the parallel stuff. So if you're gonna do a reverb, you can change the tone ever so slightly of whatever's going into the reverb. So say you do an on like this, and you put it on 0 milliseconds, 100% wet, you're just getting the tone. So for example, if I show you on guitars or something.
Is that Sound Toys EC Hoboy?
Here's so if I were to. Wasn't even the plan necessarily for that sound, but kind of cool.
I like it. I like that. That was fun.
Yeah, no,
That's cool.
it's a vibe. It's we all are using the same plugins. We're all using the same reverbs. We're all using the same everything. So it's with that or Spectre, doing something similar in that de-emphasis mode, I think it gives you the opportunity to kind of just give the effect a little bit more of a different character. That way you're not just getting this regular clean vocal going through this regular clean reverb, whatever. So,
Because everyone's using Valhalla and.
you could just change the character of something with that. But.
Oh, it would have been different. Cry on the sidewalk. Oh, it would have been different. Can't sleep without you, loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free.
tempted. Something that I'm not sure if we're gonna do right now that Jesse and I often are, having to do on a lot of the tracks we work on, is manually clip gaining the vocal and making sure that the S's aren't poking out and that each word is generally leveled, because that way we don't have to just throw a compressor on it. I think a lot of the mix I'm doing, I actually don't even have a vocal compressor sometimes if it's recorded well and you can level it right and maybe do something in parallel. But I don't know about what you're doing these days, but want to jump on? Get your kick right?
I got my no, I'm
You have a lot of ideas, don't you?
I just want to sprint. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
sprint.
Unless are you like rapping something, or I don't want to kick you off mid thought.
No, you go for it.
I see. Brother.
Was that my lollipop from out there?
No, I had 2 in my pocket.
You had 2?
I stole somebody.
Okay, so the answer is yes.
It's not.
No, I'm saying I didn't grab mine.
Can we get this man another lollipop?
Don't even sweat
Do
it.
you want us to? We'll get you your lollipop.
I'm gonna also get some more coffee.
Would you grab? Would you,
No.
player hater? Would you get another coffee for this handsome short gentleman?
You want just regular black coffee?
Coffee, please.
What I miss?
Fix You by Coldplay.
It was cool. So he put Echo Boy on like a guitar aux or a guitar, but he puts the wet all the way up and the time all the way down to use it just for tone. And it's like the same concept as using Spectre without the gain, but just the saturation,
Oh,
like
nice.
just to change
Just to change the
tone
shape
and
of
shape
it. Yeah.
without,
cool.
delay or whatever.
All right.
We're going to Kickland.
No, we're going into Songland,
Okay.
which I don't know. I don't know where we're going, but we're gonna make some moves, make a song.
high school?
If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining, in the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine. Falling so far into your ways, so out of place, and if you ever stand and notice, you'll get so high. Over and over you say I'm your heart. When you focus, you know that I'll always depend on you. But I'm so over you.
Where are they?
Oh,
Are you doing timing stuff?
Just a little.
Thank you for that.
Little
Yeah.
nudgy.
falling so far into your ways, so out of place, and if you ever stand and notice, you'll get so high. Over and over you say I'm your heart. When you focus, you know that I'll always depend. Falling so far into your ways, so out of place, and if you ever stand and notice, you'll get so high. Oh,
Closer look later. That's a.
oh, it would've been different. Crap on the side. Oh, it would've been different. Can't sleep without you. Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free. But on the gloves in there one more time. Oh, it would've been different. Sending you back home. Oh.
Lead vocal, chorus, shaping.
Oh, it would've been different. Crap on the side. Oh, it would've been different.
I think the tricky part for this, Jesse, is that because it's in a lower spot on my voice, and I'm just going, oh, getting that to be a little bit more energetic, I think, is a key here, and I think that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, bud. Got you. Got you, my dude.
Also,
Oh,
Matan says hello.
Matan, what's up?
oh, it would've been. Oh, it promises you kept and broke, that's free. Oh, it would have been different. Oh, it would have been different. Can't sleep without you. Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free. Oh, it would have been different. 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 Can't sleep without you. Loving at a premium. At a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free. But I'll make love a little one more time. Oh, it would have been different. Oh, it would have been different. Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between. It would have been different.
All right, we got these.
Vibing out in the back here, Jesse. That was awesome.
Sweet. Yeah, because we kind of have this like atmosphere of the track, and it's in this sonic environment, and then we have this vocal that's kind of up front. And I think that dialed-in sound worked really well for the intimacy of the verses.
Absolutely.
Let me know if I'm wrong. But I think in the choruses now we need to kind of get that whirling around. So I was experimenting with some, just pulling up different delays and kind of giving it some dimension.
Absolutely. I was literally in the back, like just grooving. I thought that was really cool. And I think the compression, though, is still adding that attitude that you were talking about.
Yeah, a little bit of the compression to kind of just lock it in and allow us to get more out of it. And even like some of the negative artifacts that people complain about with compression, like the anomalies of like bringing up breaths and making things spitty, it actually like works to our advantage in a lot of times.
Well, if it's a good tone box, then I think not to like blow smoke up your ass, but the rubber, like that compressor is dope. Like that rubber band one, and like
it's a good one.
It's literally like sometimes I'll throw it on there, turn one knob, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like that's all I needed. I just needed that one little thing, and like I'm not hitting it too hard. But then sometimes it's amazing just to like get that rubber band to just like fucking just dip all the way down. I think it's a fun compressor, and it's a versatile compressor.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Fun in the sense that like knowing you, the rubber band compressor makes so much sense. Like it's just like such a good time to use, and it's funny, but it also is like getting the job done at the same time. You know what I mean?
It's like me. It's funny looking.
Yes. That's what you should do. You should make a long-haired version.
That's the long-haired rubber band.
Yeah.
We have a pretty hilarious list of plugin ideas. That's not one of them, though. I like it.
Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever close.
9, 1, and 2. This keeps defaulting those.
Yeah, I don't know why it keeps doing it.
It's okay.
Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between.
And for like the sake of time, this is kind of like a move that I'll do if like sometimes there's a mix like this where there are like certain things that come in, and the low I don't want to go through and EQ everything and get all of the muddy little tiny elements that need a dB here, a dB there to like squish in. I'll use like Gullfoss or something to just sort of help out and massage and like get me a little bit closer to the mix feeling right.
Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever.
That's another thing where I like to just bring this up and use that, because this is one of the only Mac OS screens that will exist and lay over the screen no matter what you do.
And you can just make adjustments for your ears.
Yeah, exactly. So I can hit play on the mix, and I can work the tame knob while listening instead of seeing what it's doing and thinking that it's doing. Because, yeah, this is something that I don't want to like at Sound Theory, because it's a great company. It's an incredible plugin. I'm using it, obviously. But this graphic representation, this analyzer, is not even at all connected. It's not a display of what it's actually doing. What it's actually doing is very close to static movement. So as you move up to like 200%, it's a lot more static. It's interesting. So this is you can't trust it. That's all I'm saying. Maybe we edit that out. I'm not trying to talk trash, but it's a great tool. Yeah, I love it.
Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between. Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between. It would have been different.
I don't hear it working. That's fine.
Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between. It would have been different. Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between. It would have been different. Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between. Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between. Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between. It would have been different.
Which one? Oh.
The Ruby? Yeah, just keep clicking play.
Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between. It would have been different.
It's not that. What answer is it?
We could just patch it in wherever.
No. That's already too much work. I'm not doing it.
I mean, you can keep mixing while we patch it into
No.
an output, my boy.
No, because we're gonna be doing notes on this for the next week, 2 weeks. I'm not
More
gonna
of a
have
social experiment, but no, I hear you. I hear you. No, I hear
I mean,
you.
dude, we're down to the final like 35 minutes of the mix. That's all I'm saying. And the big wish list items I don't think have been covered, and it's like the overall impact of the chorus. And I don't think that a little bit of
I agree.
that is gonna do the song stuff. And nothing but respect for those. Okay, fine. I'm scared of it.
No, I'm still down to dive into more stuff as opposed to just getting on the mix bus. I get that.
Yeah. No, I'm just like.
Oh, it would have been different. Oh, it would have been different. Oh, it would have been different. Oh, it would have been. If I stop it and look back, it's always been just for you. I wish I was so over you.
Oh, we have those that needs to be nudged too.
Commonplace is mine, at worst. Oh, if you got one thing right, it was you and I. The great and tangerine, even better, and some yellow, but undrafted in it. Commonplace is mine, at worst, your sense of style. I know if you got one thing right, it was you and I. The great and tangerine, even better, and some yellow, but undrafted. Commonplace is mine, at worst, your sense of style. I know if you. Commonplace is mine, at worst, your sense of style. I know if you got one thing right, it was you. Commonplace is mine, at worst, your sense of style. I know if you got one thing right, it was you and I. The great and tangerine, even better, and some yellow, but undrafted in a dress, and I can touch this yellow. smile and at worst your sense of style. I know if you got one thing right, it was you and I. Look great in tangerine, even better in some yellow. Put on drop fits in a dress and I can touch the yellow. Over and over.
Making a throw.
Making a throw.
Making a throw, a little half note.
Broken tape projector.
It's not, yeah, it's not going to be that one, but it's... I hate that when you factory default Valhalla delay, it doesn't actually take it off of where you had it and go to the default. Go to the default. Whatever. Echoes.
Even on the default on there or on the Pro Tools one?
Yeah, just like resetting the plugin doesn't... Anyway.
This sounds great, Jesse.
Thank you.
I can't sleep without you. I can't sleep without you. I can't sleep without you. I can't sleep without you. I can't sleep without you. I can't sleep without you. I can't sleep without you. I can't sleep without you. I can't sleep without you. I can't sleep without you. Loving you, 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 loving you.
Promises you kept and broke, that's free.
But I'll make love some little one more time. Oh, it would have been different. 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 But I'll make love some little one more time. Oh, it would have been different. Oh, it would have been different. Never say.
Feed that into your
What brings up
effects.
memory locations on this keyboard?
Command 5.
Crazy. My no desk lap desk trackpad has a
The numeric keypad.
exactly.
that Jacob from high school?
If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining, in the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine. Falling so far into your way.
I think even a little more contrast between the intro and verse vocal, like less bottom end.
If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining, in the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine. If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining, in the morning you'll stay later. If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining, in the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine. Falling so far into your ways, so out of place, and if you ever stand and notice.
Would you mind
so
just playing from, if you don't mind me, if you mind playing
Sure.
from the intro? Just want to hear in context the.
How's that sound?
It sounds great.
Is that Jacob from high school?
If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining, in the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine. Falling so far into your ways, so out of place, and if you ever stand and notice, you'll get so high.
Let me hit undo like 10 times. Yeah, that was totally me. I look at Noah like, what did you do, man?
Morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine. Falling so morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine.
Jacob from high school?
If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining, in the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine. Falling so far into your ways, so out of place, and if you ever stand and notice, you'll get so high. Over and over you say I'm your heart, when you focus you know that I'll always.
What I don't know about this room is if I need to trust the happening.
That I'll over and over you say I'm your heart, when you focus you know that I'll always depend on you. But I'm so over you.
And there's a little clicky there that I heard earlier.
Is it that?
It's doing one of them. I wonder if some sort of slight crescendo here might help us lift into the section just on that last. Just a little,
On the bass? Yeah.
just a pickup on the
Okay.
last hand.
I'd honestly start the crescendo a little bit sooner. Split the difference for sure. but
Yeah.
This bass sound is I think it's a serum patch that it's like a simple serum patch, and then the secret sauce was the UAD BX sub synth on it to just add. Honestly, it's just a sub, but that thing is awesome. I mean, I work in Logic, and then now I'm starting to get into Ableton. But I mean, I do for my job. I print into Pro Tools sometimes for film music stuff, and then I mean, I'm getting more and more used to it. I learned on Pro Tools. I'm just really uncomfortable in it.
Doing
Whenever
some
I'm
stretching there, Jesse?
I would never
Yeah.
produce in Pro Tools just because I hate
I
the
want this
MIDI
note
stuff.
to
I just hate
extend
it.
right into that.
And I do so much MIDI shit now. But then just to finish the thought, yeah. So I also had a bunch of guys who just loved UAD stuff. So now I just
Compared to like Voice of God, it like way cooler sounding.
It really What else do I use on this? That transformed the whole thing though, because that one now it doesn't fit that sound on the track, which makes it cool.
Yeah. Was that the bass?
Yeah, it just sticks out. It's kind of weird and tubby, but it works. I don't know. But without it, it just sounds like crap.
I almost stopped myself. It was like, no one wants to hear this nerd talk. I'm like, that's
No, it's literally nerds, yeah.
We're here to chat about the nitty gritty of production and mixing.
But yeah, for anyone who's listening, UAD BX subsynth is on that.
Sometimes I'll like zoom out of these conversations and imagine it through somebody who doesn't like know at all.
My
what we're
dad was
talking
watching
about,
for a while. He has no idea what we're talking about.
you
He
know,
was
or just like
"This
the
is cool."
reference.
Did you just LM explode?
A little bit. It's not working.
Loving at a premium with me, the promises you kept.
I'm going to split this off so we can treat the main hooks of this main loop thing separately from the intro of the song.
Loving at a premium with me, the that's free. It would have been different. Never say sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever close in between. It would have been
Those are a little early too.
Which ones?
Actually, they're a little. It's just live. It's just real. It's okay.
I think I had subconscious kind of ducked those but I feel like if you can make space for those, they can add something.
Yeah, I was trying to bring him in around the vocal, and I think that idea just was garbage. My idea to do that was garbage. But the part is cool, probably just sitting there. It might be able to come out of its shell a little bit. Let's do a little Sans amp.
Yeah.
I never do this, but
I love that.
Santa.
I'm not getting a thing out of that.
You could sidechain it to the vocal a little bit.
I'm missing that Saturn right now. Just gotta find something that'll do that.
Oh, we had that.
Yeah, we should have all the Fab Filter stuff.
It says it's the license is expired.
What? Oh, this is out of everything that we have.
It's so embarrassing.
Who's getting
This is embarrassing.
Who's getting fired?
I'm getting fired.
That's all right.
Never say sorry until I scream. Oh, it would've been different. Oh, it would've been different. Never say sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between. Never say sorry until I scream.
There was no crossover. It's just like additive EQ almost. So it's like obviously there's things could overlap, but it doesn't. I feel like have the same phase.
Never say sorry. Never say sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between. Never say sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between. Never say sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between.
The last mix we did, my buddy who's a talented engineer was like, I don't know, there needs to be something. And I was like, oh, and I went,
Oh, it would have been different. Oh, it would have been different. Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free. But hold me close a little one more time. Oh, it would have been different. Oh, it would have been different. Never say sorry until I scream, but not. Oh,
There's something like distorting.
yeah,
the-
here, I wanted to tell you about this. So
That one.
yeah, one thing I did was I processed everything together and turned it into a sample instrument and then just saturated the shit out of it as a
Yeah, I just
because
wanna,
without it, you're kind of like it is lacking some oomph.
I just wanted to lop off some of the top end
Yeah,
and
yeah.
blend it in, and maybe in the center.
never say sorry until it would have been. It would have been. It would have been. It would have been. Oh, it would have been different. Oh, it would have
when I was doing the video game tracks, you were like, "Here's every Pokemon sample," and I threw in so many of those. Oh yeah, like double kick, tick. Such a cool sound.
I have them in here somewhere.
Yeah, man, those things are unreal.
They really are.
Also, like the old Roland. Anyways, I'm interrupting you.
No, you're good.
Yeah. Could you quickly look the distorted layer that you had there? Can I see at the end? There's like a groove. I want to make sure if those are on the same track or not. No, they're not. Yeah, because that's more featured at the end here, and I wanted to see what you thought about that.
Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever close. It would have been different.
And it's not actually active.
No, it's cool. I felt like you were saying something great about the track, and I hit play, so then the viewers were.
Well, you
cut
were
off.
just. What Noah was saying was he was just like, yeah, like I feel like we could afford to have some high end stuff and like some sparkle without it feeling like too like mainstream. Is that what you?
Yeah, just like having such dense high end like.
But basically, what I was saying is that my goal is always, especially when I'm working with people who do other like more mainstream pop stuff. I tell the same thing to Moritz. It's like I always say, like, feel free to lean into that because I don't think there's any reality where this comes off feeling too much like that, you know, because we're gonna be coming from a place that's more indie. So yeah, I mean, that's my thing is I always struggle getting that super duper clear high end. I think that's my like weakness, and because I muddy up too much in the middle with my like layering and stuff. So that's why the first thing I said was like just to make it super clear, because then we can really make it like, I mean, already the delays, the way that they're playing around in the track is so cool, and the guitars are a lot brighter but in a functional way, which is like not my fort, as you would say. So
Yeah. I think hook lead vocal still EQ wise isn't quite there because it actually changes towards the end, and maybe we split this off, Noah, because the it would have been different. It's warmer, so we're treating the top end differently. But then you get to the end and you're like never, and that part is sounding like very bright and resonant. So I was like I was EQing for that part, and then we get to the top of the chorus again, and I was like, oh, now I EQ'd too much. So the beginning, that vocal sounds dull now. So I think we need to split that off and treat those differently. Overall, yeah, this is not this is a wonderful mix because of those challenges. And yeah, it's definitely not an easy, like, it's not like the easiest, which is great because, yeah, this is cool. And we might like roll up to the end here, and the whole, this is a big thing with me is, getting to the end of a session and not necessarily being at the finish line of the mix. A lot of the time it's like, hey, we got to connect in the room and share vision, and this was beautiful. And then it kind of continues into the next phase of like, let's sleep on it. I'm going to hit it at my house where I'm like extremely comfortable. And then we send back and forth and the notes process begins. But
I think that's the key to this series, though, is like you made a bunch of choices that you then decided you didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you watch like Mix with the Masters or what is it, Pure Mix or anything like that, like it's mostly just like, look at my session, unbypass, but like you don't know why they got to that point. And I think it's the process is really important to be like, cool, I tried this idea, actually I hated it, let me delete it. I did this whole vocal ride, never mind, didn't like it, and then it leads you down to what eventually is the better move. And once you get there, then you're just like, I think there's this idea that engineers are getting to that move first, and it's usually second or third, right? Or fourth.
Totally. I mean, I have to be like totally transparent. I'm like, I've been in the chair, at least in this last little sprint where I just kind of went off for 20 minutes. I've been like sweating a little bit. I've been like, I am not arriving at the answer for a couple of the issues. As far as like how to get this chorus to like bloom in, and what should I do with that synth EQ, I was like striking out time and time again. And that I think for the viewers, I think that's just incredibly common, or at least it is for me, and I have no shame sharing
it's
that.
common for me too. I mean,
I have a question as sort of not as a mixing engineer, the sort of artist producer side, like what are things that sort of on my end, like before delivery and stuff, could make that easier? Or is it just a creative deal with you where you're just like, oh, actually, I'm not totally sure on the creative end? Or is it just straight up like, this is sitting weird?
No,
go back.
It's the opposite. It's that the song, when we heard it at the beginning of the day, like, this is a record already. This is a fleshed out production. It's not, it doesn't sound like it's like the mastered finished one. Like we got to put some EQ in, and we got to get some flavor. We got to bring some of it out and do a little bit of sorting. But like, that's the thing. It was well laid out. And there was also a lot of buildup at this session, so there's a lot of this pressure, and the cameras are on, so we're like, I as my ego is like, oh, I gotta like flex and pull out my best tricks.
Yeah,
so like, what can I do? And then I'm like, yeah. So it's not on you.
Also, I'm just saying, it looks like that's your tiny microphone right now, and I'm loving that. You're like, here's the thing, I'm just loving what I'm doing here.
Hey, we all got out there. They played a great offense. Unfortunately, we couldn't deliver. We couldn't keep that football out of the end zone.
Yeah.
But hey, we're gonna get back to practice Monday. We're gonna do our best.
I have a question. Sorry not to interrupt. I like have done that every time I have a question. My bad. Whatever. I think that's a good point though, and I want to add. Well, I don't really know how to phrase this, but I do feel like there are moments like in the mixing process where you realize that it's like there are things that are not a mixing issue that are very obviously production, or they're not, and maybe from like taking different stabs at it, you're like, oh, like this part needs this element and that would fix it. Are there times when you're mixing, I guess depending on the client, where you're like, would you be down to try this? Do you ever make like suggest production ideas that you think would help the client get to where they want to go?
Yeah.
Sick.
So that's something I'm
But this
battling right
isn't
now.
that situation.
No, this isn't that.
Okay.
This isn't. I mean, we did a little bit of that crescendo on that.
You did some copy paste stuff with the kick, but like, I mean, that's what we have that dynamic where I'm just like do stuff.
You were saying you're running into that right now. You're battling that right now.
On a different project.
Yeah.
But just like to answer, it is sort of related. I battle whether to, preface. So here's the first pass. I tried some stuff. Let me know what you think. Or are you open to me trying some stuff? I'm battling whether that's the productive route, or sometimes just to send it without imposing that bias.
Right.
Because sometimes you need to prep them for it, otherwise they get spooked. And I don't know, it kind of goes both ways. There's a few different approaches, I think, to that.
What do you think?
I think it's helpful to have a relationship with the producers that you're working with. Like I'm working with a lot of the same people on the same projects where they know that I, do some production stuff and, engineering and whatever. So it's kind of more open to, do whatever you want. Like I trust you. And there's a producer I work with a lot, Ely, who's incredible, does a lot of pop stuff. And we're working on finishing up an album right now. And I called him like a few days ago and I was like, I think the mix is feeling good. I'm going to send it to you in a minute. But this one section with the drums, like, I don't know if I need to just go harder with atmosphere and reverb or what, but it feels like it's missing a little bit of an edge that it needs. And he was like, do you think that's production or mixing, like right off the bat? So he's like, I'm going to listen to it and try things. But I think you have to, harness the relationship and really develop the, personal connection of, this process to be able to be in a place where you can suggest those things. Because I think at least getting your foot in the door, with working with people is 99% based on how you just connect, as people. And that's something he's really, really good at that I kind of picked up on right off the bat when we were, starting to work together. Was maybe like 10% mixing tips and 90% like how to interact with your clients.
Well, this job is like more social than
customer
technical.
Service,
Yeah, it's customer service.
It's a service job. We're doing, a service for someone. And so I think if you can create that environment where people are comfortable and, want to just, at the end of the day, everyone wants their song to be the best version of what it can be. And so if you're firing down a good idea before you even hear it, then, you don't know what it's going to sound like. So I think we work with a lot of people who, like with, Yeti on Woman, it's like, hey, can we just try layering in maybe some other kick samples with this? Or can we try, you try other things and if you're working
he's open
with
to
people,
anything like that.
Yeah. And
it's super free.
And sometimes, like, I've talked to producers, actually I talked to Ely, he's like, I would be so pissed if a mixer layered in a kick or replaced a kick. And I was like, bro, I'm not going to show you any of these sessions then because like, and on his stuff, he has really, really great sound selection, but
edit that out, scrub that out.
You're not always in a good room though. You're not always able to maintain as much perspective as you want. So from the production side, I feel like, it'd be impossible. You wouldn't need a mixer if it sounded perfect when you left the room, So I think just being in an environment where you have fresh ears, I think that's why, like, we've mastered projects before, but it's like, I don't want to advertise that I'm mixing and mastering because I want another perspective. It's all I think about just having fresh ears on something and then new insight to, I don't know what it's doing, but you guys carry on. I'm gonna jump in here.
Get to work.
And then we were at.
Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free.
Is this thing supposed to be up 12 dB? Jacob, like these kind of things, like I think if you, rolling off at where like, 13 or 15K across the board, you can get the clarity in the top end that you were saying you sometimes are missing. Because it's like, yeah, this is a bright sound, but if we isolate, over here right now, like. It's like, that's just building up and, we get digital distortion happening and it breaks up on phone speakers. All so those things kind of happen. So if across the board you kind of manage that and...
From the get-go, it gives you guys less shit that you have to do.
Yeah. So... even on something like this, it's like I'm not hearing air. So I don't necessarily want that. You know, like you can still get the pluckiness and the attack without, you know, having all of that building up. It's not actually getting darker.
Yeah, it's just
managing
anything that
it.
would be hurting your ears, I guess, or
Exactly.
in theory is gone. Okay.
Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free. But I'll make love some little one more time. Oh, it would've been different. Oh, it would've been different. Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between. It would've been different. Oh, it would've been different.
A layer with it's like pitched up and affected and hidden. I think doing things and just kind of making it like hidden,
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
can be really
It's
cool.
like I've already said it like 4 times today, but like the felt not heard kind of vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we do have Leanna's vocal on top.
It is a little higher at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Then I don't think that's.
And that's an option as well for stuff. Anyways. I'm just saying, I did a similar thing, Matt, and you didn't like it on the last track. I'm just saying.
I think, you know, just doing it maybe on the parts where you're holding it out.
Yeah.
So that you have
Just
the
to add
clarity.
another frequency. That's cool. It's nifty.
Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free.
Make a Christmas album out of this.
That's what was my dilemma when we do like pitch. There's like frequency information that gets added because it's like the algorithm that it uses to do the pitch.
Yeah.
But I'll make love some little one more time.
Yeah, and I'll go and EQ it even more like
Yeah,
after.
and then just
But right now
straight
it's
up
more
pull the
about
fader
just
down probably.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely gonna
Yeah.
come way down.
Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever closer in between. It would've been different.
And then, you know, clarity at the end again.
Yeah, that's cool.
Is it the same thing repeating the like
Yes.
same recording so you can fly this
I
over?
believe so, yeah. Ba-
Kind of cool actually.
Yeah, that's kind of a type 5 over there. Yeah, that'll be it.
And then we can do kind of that just like tone change so it's not just like
I'm using the bathroom for this.
so you basically, you know, you can go to time 0 and then you have all these options. This is Andrew Sarlo does this plenty. It's another great. He's awesome, but you know, you can
Yeah, okay, cool.
so you kind of have these like different flavors. You can, you know, you don't even have to commit to it fully, but
Yeah, totally. It has
you know,
a nice
so
with that.
It
female vox there. I don't know. I feel like if we pitch that up, it might. Yeah. I'm gonna let you do your thing. Excuse me.
No. I mean, I don't even know if we need to
I don't think so.
pitch those up. I feel like
Definitely not.
You know, we can give it a little more clarity in the top end if you want. Heavier on the
left.
On the left.
Good, man.
You're the boss, applesauce.
Got a little niner. A niner in there?
Yeah, I threw a niner.
Going
in
from
there.
a walkie-talkie?
Niner.
I threw in a 9. When you were working, I was like, "There's a 9 in there, Jesse. I'm sorry."
Hitting one of our time constraints here. So I was thinking maybe this be a good place to stop, get some final notes in.
And then, do they ask questions? The chat?
There was a
How
couple
do you-
questions, but they're not. We've already answered a lot of them.
Just the Zoom thing that you just did.
Control and then scroll.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks guys for coming. That was
Thanks
fun.
for having us.
Yeah, we can clap.
Let's get applause emojis.
Round of applause. Round of applause.
It feels so, it's interesting because this is like a different type of session because the focus is so, like when I have mixed sessions at my place or over Zoom, it's like we've done in the past, it's so focused on you and your needs and what I can do, you know, and I'm hosting you. And today I feel like we're like zooming in on the mix and highlighting the mix, and it feels strange to me, but it was really cool to do this.
Push you out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, but it also felt like we were. Yeah, I'm excited to take this phase into the next phase and get a little more personal and like really kind of dial in. I feel like I sort of failed to dial in a little bit all of the things that you wanted. So
Well,
I'm excited to keep going.
Yeah, I think it's sounding already. It just, I mean, I always do this. It's going from here to like that, and you can already tell. So that's the secret, I think, is if you can get there, that means that's what makes it a mix.
There's already depth and height
Yeah.
being introduced, which I think is.
And I'd rather like talk about it and engage for the purpose of the live stream than just be like, actually, can we like get the BGVs mapped out, please? Because we could do that another time.
I feel like there's a lot of things that would be added and done a little differently had this been more of like a put your head down, don't talk to each other, environment. But I feel like there's definitely it's little things, that I feel like need to be refined. But
I'm honestly just happy that when we played the track, everybody didn't just get up and walk out. That would have. I may or may not have had that dream last night. But I'm just super happy to have your guys' time, honestly, everybody. And again, props to the staff who, without without your vibe in the first verse and second verse, it's just not really a song. So bravo.
Thanks. Thank you.
Sick. We want to play it through, see how it's feeling, or you want to wrap it up? What's the vibes?
Just play from top to
Jesse,
bottom.
put your earplugs in, 'cause I'm going to turn it up very loud.
We're just gonna play where we're leaving it, and then we'll let you guys know when it comes out.
Is that Jacob from high school?
If I wasn't wasting your time while you complaining, in the morning you'll stay later and I'll feel fine. Falling so far into your ways, so out of place, and if you ever stand and notice, you'll get so high. Over and over you say I'm your heart. When you focus, you know that I'll always depend on you. But I'm so over you. Oh, it would've been different. Oh, it would've been different. Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free. But I'll make love so little one more time. Oh, it would've been different. Oh, it would've been different. Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever close or in between. It would've been commonplace, your smile and at worst your sense of style. I know if you got one thing right, it was you and I. The great and tangerine, even better, and some yellow. Put on droplets in a dress and I can touch this yellow. Over and over I say it's your fault. If I stop it and look back, it's always been just for you. I wish I was so over you. Oh, it would've been different. Oh, it would've been different. Loving at a premium with me. The promises you kept and broke, that's free. But I'll make love so little one more time. Oh, it would've been different. Oh, it would've been different. Never say you're sorry until I scream, but nothing's ever close or in between. It would've been different. It would've been
Yeah, I mean already it's so the vibe is so much more like
Power Rangers rings.
form of
I would reach.
yeah. Yeah, Matt, get over here.
I mean,
Captain Planet.
Yay.
Fire.
Water.
thank you again, Jesse. Really.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mix Giant.
Mix Giant.
Mix Giant. Steph. You know the
Sick.
song was originally called High School Steph?